there's like an 8-foot person beside it, and another one's inside, and it has big eyes and looking at us, and it's still there.
Okay, where is this on your property?
In my backyard. I swear to God, this is not a joke. This is actually we terrified it.
So there's two people or two subjects that are in your backyard?
Correct, and they're very large. They're like 8 foot, 9 feet, 10 foot. I don't know. They look like aliens to us. Big eyes. They have big eyes, like I can't explain it. And big mouth. They're shiny eyes, and they're not human. They're 100% not human.
Welcome to this live. For those who are gonna watch later, welcome to this live.
It's almost midnight on May 1st when a Las Vegas Metro Police officer's body cam catches this, something flashing low in the sky.
911 emergency.
Minutes later,
there's like an 8-foot person beside it, and another one's inside, and it has big eyes and looking at us, and it's still there.
Someone calls 911 reporting two large figures in their backyard.
No, I'm still nervous right now.
The 8 News Now investigators obtaining another officer's video as he's sent to the Northwest Valley home.
I have butterflies, bro. I've only thought of shooting star, then these people say there's aliens in their backyard.
By now, it's more than an hour after that bright light. Officers meeting up with the caller and his family.
What'd you see?
It was like a big creature.
A big creature?
Yeah, like around 10 feet tall.
I'm not going to BS you guys. One of my partners said they saw something fall out of the sky too, so that's why I'm kind of curious. Did you see anything land in your backyard? Or?
They see like a big, that's what they say. They see like a big something with light.
What I saw right now, I do believe in it.
Police walk into the backyard to investigate, but Metro blacked out that part of the video because it's considered private property. What's clear? They're taking this call seriously.
Hey, this might sound like a really dumb question, but did you guys see anything fall out of the sky?
Asking others what they saw.
I would normally discount it as nothing. However, seeing as one of my partners said they saw it too, only reason I'm actually investigating it further.
That investigation turning up.
Yo, what is up, everybody? This is Oscar, aka the Water Wizard. Welcome to this live. The recent occurrences of an unidentified anomalous phenomena, aka unidentified flying objects, over the United States airspace has caused some renewed interest in extraterrestrials, aka ETs. Curiosity about the possibility of life beyond our planet is nothing new. So, with that said, tonight, this evening, wherever you are, whether it be in Europe, China, South America, Florida, wherever you're listening at, we're gonna expand a little bit more on this subject when it comes to biblical narratives, right? Because a lot of the Christian world does not understand that the subject of UFOs is really nothing new. What we are witnessing in the news, like you guys watched earlier in the beginning of this podcast, what happened in Las Vegas and how there was a spaceship that landed on someone's backyard, bro. Like, this is real life. It's almost like if we are living in a different dimension, different reality. Something happened in 2020 that completely changed the paradigm of the human race as a whole, completely. And a lot of people speculate, there's even some physicists that are speculating that we might have, the entire world might have transferred itself to a different dimension or a different timeline. And I know these subjects that I'm talking about are a little out there for some people, maybe for a lot of people. And the reason why is because there's always this narrative that has been painted throughout the ages in the psychic of the human race to paint a picture of what is truth, right? It's all about perception. We perceive the truth to be a certain way. We perceive this reality to be a certain way when it's not. And so tonight, we're going to dive a little deep when it comes to biblical narratives, biblical text. We're going to go outside the Bible as well to extra biblical or extracurricular text that dates back before the Bible was even in existence. And I'm going to show you without shadow of a doubt that the UFO agenda is really nothing new under the sun, right? These individuals, these beings, these ETs, these angels, these demons, whatever you want to call them, right? There has been many words that has been used to refer to beings that do not belong in this dimension since times immemorial, going back to the times of Adam, even before Adam, right? And yeah, we're gonna go deep into that. But welcome to this live. Welcome to this podcast. Last podcast I did on this subject got deleted because I spoke on things that I shouldn't have spoken about. So YouTube gave me a 1 strike, and YouTube blocked me for 7 days. I couldn't post. I couldn't do anything except post I think it was a short that I posted. But yeah, it's pretty wild out there that whenever you speak the truth, whoever's ruling this planet, whoever's in charge of ruling this planet, they're trying to silence a lot of people, right? It's not just me, there's many people out there that have spoken about many subjects regarding, you guys know who, you guys know what, the jab. Again, I don't want to mention the name because according to YouTube guidelines, they deleted my YouTube podcast of 2 hours and a half where I brought out the same information that I'm going to bring out today. And yeah, it's it's pretty wild. You cannot really speak the real truth because the gatekeepers are out there watching, listening. Now it's going to be even more dangerous. It's going to be even more harder for us to speak the truth. Why? Because now we have AI systems, artificial intelligence, in which they're able to really copy your own voice, copy your face, edit your face into something else, someone else that you're not. And so imagine if I have 1 million followers. That's 1 million, that's influence that I have over 1 million people. Now imagine that I'm speaking about the real subjects that a lot of people are not really speaking about. And it's kind of like what happened to Andrew Tate. Andrew Tate was speaking against the status quo since 2020. You guys know what happened in 2020. I won't mention names, but 2020 was a pivotal point where a lot of the truths came out. Lots of truth came out. A lot of information came out, and that was kind of like the signal. As a matter of fact, that was the signal for the elevation for the human race to the next level of the spiritual, emotional, and conscious evolution, right? Because that's where we headed. Anyways, let's not veer off the subject because I tend to do that a lot. But yeah, so today we're gonna go into the Book of Enoch. We're gonna go into the history. We're gonna go into Sanskrit writings that predate the Bible for at least 3,000 years, meaning that there are ancient texts out there that speak about genetic manipulation on this planet. There's ancient texts that speak about some sort of invasion of beings from another place, let's just call it that came on this planet and began doing genetic experiments with the ancient hominids of ancient times. And they were doing gene splicing. In other words, they were doing genetic experiments. They were cutting genes mixing creatures with another one, creating chimeras. What you guys call what you guys see in the mythologies of the Greeks, the mythologies of the Egyptians, the mythologies of the Mayans, the mythologies of the ancient Chinese, the Sumerians, the ancient Hindu people. Um, Man, we can name names pretty much all throughout the world, throughout the history. We find evidence of beings that came from somewhere else, another dimension, another place that is not on this planet, and sometimes underground. So we're gonna cover some of that information in the text. I'm gonna show you. I'm gonna give you examples. We're gonna show you a little bit of the history on that, and then we're gonna call it a night. But thanks for tuning in. Now, with that said, we're gonna get started. Yeah, Elizabeth Weaver, thanks for tuning in, sis. I don't think we talked, but welcome in. And I know there's a lot of people out there that watch my channel that do not like me, and we parted ways before. And you guys know who you guys are. So, but welcome to the live. You guys are welcome to come in and say hi without hiding behind the views and stuff. But um, I still have love for the community, regardless of the hatred that you guys, a lot of guys have shown against me because I don't subscribe to the biblical idea, because I don't subscribe to the idea of the Hebrew Israelites and whatnot. But that's another subject for itself, for another podcast. And I have been challenging a lot of people on Facebook, a lot of people on the Black Hebrew Israelite groups. I have challenged them to come in and debate thy cause, debate your doctrines, debate your ideology, debate your belief systems with me in a very respectful, balanced environment. So that invitation has gone out via on my podcast live. And I have also invited a lot of people on the comment section on Facebook and on Messenger. And so with that said, we're going to get started. Yeah, let's see. How's everybody doing? Oh man, yeah, it's been a while since I've a lot of people have interacting with me, and but I'm willing for you guys to come in and talk if you guys want to talk, but not tonight, because tonight I have this presentation. But we're gonna go in. All right, we're gonna go into the history right now, because again, whatever it is that you guys are watching in the news today, right? Just like the stuff that I showed you guys earlier. Let me replay it again to refresh thy memory.
There's like an 8-foot person beside it, and another one is inside, and it has big eyes and looking at us, and it's still there.
Okay, where is this on your property?
In my backyard. I swear to God, this is not a joke. This is actually we terrified of it.
So there's two people or two subjects that are in your backyard?
Correct, and they're very large. They're like 8 foot, 9 feet, 10 foot. I don't know. They look like aliens to us. Big eyes. They have big eyes,
Okay.
like I can't explain it. And big mouth. They're shiny eyes, and they're not human. They're 100% they're not human.
Yeah, my bad, everybody. I think my phone overheated and the light just went off. But yeah, I apologize for that. Let's continue with the subject matter. So just give me a minute. Let me unplug my phone because I think it's overheating. That's why it just went blank. If you guys noticed. But welcome to the live. Just give me like a couple minutes and I'll be back. I'll be back. Okay. All right. It's almost cooling down so that we can continue. But thanks for sticking around. Yeah, such an inconvenience. So I really apologize with everybody that's watching. Thank you for staying there. We're gonna continue in just a minute, okay? All right, we're back. All right, so I was saying that before I got cut off, that the subject of UFO is very heated online right now, in the news, in the media outlets out there, and it's very strange because you guys haven't seen that in a while. I remember back in the day, 20 years ago, when myself and many other people, we were talking about the UFO activity that was going to take place later on. As a matter of fact, many years ago, when I was a child, I used to have dreams about UFO activity taking place on the planet at a massive scale, all worldwide. And I think we are beginning to see the first stages of that. So, with that said, you guys got to understand that the media, um, they will always try to portray a different reality than the reality that we live in, right? And it's all about perception. What they're doing with the media, with the TV, they're trying to change the perspective, the perception of the human race at the collective level. So the UFO subject today is very hot in the news, and the reason why is because that's just a distraction, um, to what's really happening in the U.S. government, Russia and the United States, China, the economy collapsing. We are witnessing the almost the collapse of the dollar. Right, you have China, what is it, Saudi Arabia, and Russia, and some other countries uniting to create a different system, a different financial system that's gonna basically rival the United States. That and many other things that are happening within the government, and things that have come out, whistleblowers that have come out and have shared many information that I'm gonna be bringing out later on, regarding, oh man, I don't want to say it here because I'm afraid if I say it, they're gonna delete podcast, and they're gonna give me another strike. If I get 3 strikes, they're gonna delete my YouTube channel. That's what they told me. So I'm gonna work on the subject matter in a different podcast. and I'm gonna word it differently, but it's pretty wild that the governments of the world know about these, and they know what's coming, and they're not sharing it with the world. And so they're distracting the entire planet with this war on Russia, Ukraine, and Russia, the collapse of the dollar, the shifting of consciousness that's taking place because artificial intelligence is back in the world, right? But anyways, so the subject of the UFO is really nothing new. Whatever you guys are seeing, like the Pentagon coming out saying that they have this disclassified certain information regarding the subject, for us, like for me at least, and many other people, it's really nothing new. Let me see. Yeah, it's really nothing new because this subject has been around. These beings have been around for thousands of years. And once again, I'm going to prove it in the Bible. I'm going to prove it in the Torah. I'm going to prove it in the book of Enoch. And then we're going to read a little bit of the history. We're going to go into Hindu writings that predate the Bible for at least 3,000 years. So with that said, let me see. Where are we? Yeah, we're right here. All right. In 329 BC, Alexander the Great records 2 great silver shields spitting fire around the rims in the sky that dived repeatedly at his army as they were attempting a river crossing. The action so panicked his elephants, horses, and men, they had to abandon the river crossing until the following day. In 322 BC, when Alexander was besieging Tyre, aka Sidon, where the Canaanites were living, in Phoenicia, another flying shield, quote unquote, flying shield. That's the way they described them back then. They didn't call them UFOs. Why? Because the UFO wasn't in existence back then. Back then, they used a word that would best describe the things that they were watching in the heavens. And what they were watching in the heavens were basically flying shields. We call them what? Saucers. We call them ovnis. We call them UFOs, unidentified flying objects, and many other names, right? So back then they called them the flying shield. So in the year 322 BC, when Alexander was besieging Tyre in Phoenicia, another flying shield moving in triangular formation with smaller shields approached. Supposedly, the larger object shot beams of light at the city, meaning at the city of Tyre, where the Canaanites were living, shattering its walls and other defenses. Alexander's army quickly took advantage of the situation and seized the city. The object then departed. End quote. So what we are witnessing right now is basically like in the history records, we have Alexander the Great. You guys know who Alexander the Great was, right? We have a piece of history showing you guys that the subject of UFOs is really nothing new. These spaceships, these silver shields, flying shields, UFOs, ovnis, UPAs. Now they changing the names. They have always been interacting with the human race since times immemorial. And as we go deep into this subject and this podcast goes on, I'm gonna show you the information so that you guys can make your own conclusion. I'm not here to brainwash nobody. I'm not here to sell you guys a story. This is basically like information that's out there. So that's one. Now we're gonna go into another matter, and that's Zechariah 5:6. This is the resemblance throughout all the earth. Zechariah 5:6, where you have the prophet Zechariah having some sort of mystical experience in where he sees these objects in the sky, right? And he's describing them, and he's saying to the readers, people that read the Bible, this is their resemblance. This is what they look like all throughout the world. You see that in the Bible. Again, we went into the history. Alexander the Great in the year 329 BC, in the year 322 BC, witnessing silver shields, flying shields. Again, we're gonna continue to dive into the historical record, so that we can paint you guys a picture, right, of of the situation, right, so that you guys understand that the subject of UFOs is really nothing new on the news. The fact of the matter is that the media wants to portray a certain story, so that you guys are distracted from this, from the real matters. And there's a lot of things that are going on within the world. And once again, I wish I don't want to use the word, but I wish YouTube wasn't a bunch of beaches. Oh man, why can't people handle the truth? I do not understand that idea that you have to hide the truth for the people, to the people, for the people. Why? Why does Facebook, Instagram? As a matter of fact, I got banned from Twitter. Elon Musk banned me from Twitter because I spoke on the subject that I was speaking earlier about. There's certain things, there's certain subjects that all the governments of the world know about, and I'm gonna give you guys a clue. I'm gonna give you guys two words. Let me not do that. Let me not do that. Anyways, so yeah, so I was banned on Twitter. I was banned on TikTok, and you guys know that I have been banned on Facebook many times. The longest I have been blocked on Facebook has been 90 days, because on things that I spoke about that certain governments, certain corporations do not allow. All right, we're gonna continue to dive deep. Okay, thanks for watching, everybody. Welcome to this live. I know I invited some people from work to watch, so if you guys are watching, Kayla and anybody else that's watching, shout out to you guys. Thanks for watching. Oh man. All right, so diving deep into the historical record, right? Once again, the reason why I'm painting this foundation, I'm setting the foundation, is because later on, after I set the foundation, I'm gonna share my story when I was abducted by aliens at the age of 5 years old, back home, right? And I haven't really shared that with many people, right? I haven't shared that with many people. As a matter of fact, I don't think I've shared it publicly. So this is the first time I'm sharing this story. So so I wanna bring you guys back to the beginning of the human race. I wanna bring you guys back because the Bible tells you about UFO activity, genetic experiments going on the planet by certain beings that are not humans. All right. Julius Obsequens, a Roman author, writes that in 99 BC, in Tarquinia towards sunset, a round object like a globe, a round or circular shield, took its path in the sky from west to east. That's one. That's in the year 99 BC. Even Christopher Columbus, it appears, saw a UFO while patrolling the deck of the Santa Maria at about 10 p.m. on October the 11th, 1492. That's literally one day before they quote unquote discovered the Americas, which again, we know that Christopher Columbus did not discover anything, you know. So at about 10 p.m. on October 11th, 1492, Columbus thought he saw a light glimmering at a great distance. He hurriedly summoned Pedro Gutierrez, a gentleman of the king's bed chamber, who also saw the light. So now we're these are people that are, they have credentials. These are people that are very educated back then. It says who also saw the light. After a short time, it vanished, only to reappear several times during the night, each time dancing up and down. Its sudden and passing gleams, the light first seen 4 hours before land was sighted, was never explained. And this is a excerpt or a quote from Beyond Earth: Man's Contact with UFOs by Rolf Bloom and Jude Bloom, which is referring to the life and voyages of Christopher Columbus, 1850. Okay, so once again, according to the Torah itself, in the midst of two or three witnesses shall any matter be established. So I brought you guys two witnesses in the historical records. Now we're gonna go into the biblical records, and we're gonna see whether or not UFOs are being spoken about, or is it just one a new subject that we are witnessing in the news, which again we know it's not. The subject of UFOs have been around for millenniums. We're talking about millenniums. As a matter of fact, the entire human race was genetically engineered by these what do you want to call them? You guys can call them angels. You guys can call them gods. You guys can call them creators. You guys can call them interdimensional beings of light, gods, kings, priests, and whatnot. Right? Because yeah, well, I don't want to go off subject because I tend to do that a lot. But yeah, once again, the appearance of the wheels and their work was like unto the color of beryl. Ezekiel 1:16. Again, throughout the book of Ezekiel, the book of Zechariah, the book of Psalms, the book of Revelations, the New Testament in the Bible, whether it be the Torah itself, whether it be the book of Enoch, which we're gonna go in it in a minute, a little bit. Whether it be any other ancient manuscripts, the subject of UFO has always been around, somehow accompanying the human race in I don't know, in our voyage, in our path of this human evolution, or whatever it is that the human race is headed, right? All right, so yeah, and so once again, we have there's many information out there. The information that I'm bringing out right now is just a glimpse. It's just a small fraction of of the information, the plethora of information, much information that's really out there. If you guys are able to dig in, right? If you guys are able to do the diligent work to dive deep into the rabbit hole without being afraid that your belief systems are gonna be shattered, because that seems to be the idea. That seems to be the what's the word? That seems to be the plan, I guess. That whenever you bring out certain things and subjects that our people are not, they have not learned, all of a sudden you're either demon possessed, you're bugged out, you're going off. So the spirit of the Most High left you, and so a lot of Christians, a lot of religious folks out there with a religious mindset tend to judge people like me and other people like me, that we are bringing subjects that do not fit the narrative, do not fit the status quo. And because we are bringing certain subjects out into the world, well, it's you must be going off. You are a little crazy. You're missing a te falta un tornillo, whatever the like. Anyways, when the United States went to war with Iraq, you guys witnessed how the media painted a narrative to the world that Saddam Hussein had weapons of, you guys know, and we know the story, we know the narrative, what happened 20 years after. They never found those weapons, and the country was destroyed. Many millions of Iraqis, Afghanis died, and whatnot. So, but my point of telling you this story a little bit in brief is because there was 8 soldiers that came across Avirmana in Iraq. More on that story later. For now, let me bring my third witness on the subject of UFOs, and that will be the Book of Enoch, chapter 91. What's going on, Job? Welcome to the live, brother. Welcome to the live. Sami, what's going on, brother? Welcome to the live. Yeah, welcome to the live, brothers. Thanks for tuning in once again. The subject of UFO is nothing new. It's not a new subject for me. It's not a new subject for a lot of people that have brought this subject out for the past 20 years or more. And so that's what I'm bringing out. I'm not bringing the information in the Bible, the historical record, and other ancient texts that predate the Bible. And then after that, I'm going to share my story in detail of what happened to me when I was 5 years old. So we have in the book of Enoch, chapter 91, Enoch himself travels with these aliens, angels, archangels, interdimensional beings, extraterrestrials, whatever you want to call them, for an entire year. After that year, he was brought back into the planet. And the book, the chapter in the book of Enoch, chapter 91, tells you that he gathered all his family to explain, like, a lot of the things that he witnessed when he was traveling the stars, when he was traveling close to the moon. They show him the Pleiades, right? The book of Enoch talks about how Enoch was he traveled to the 7 sisters or the 7 mountains in the heavens. Now we know that the 7 mountains in the heavens is talking about the constellation of the Pleiades. You guys know what I'm talking about, right? Let's see. Let me guys give you a visual, because I'm a visual guy. I like visuals myself. I like to use my head a lot. My imagination is like it's it's just way out there. Okay, so let's just put it that way. But I like to see visuals, so let me just give you a visual. Let's see. There it is, right there. So that's basically what it's talking about. When on the book of Enoch, chapter 91. Well, it's not just chapter 91. I read the book of Enoch twice already. I read the whole book, and there's a lot of stuff that I'm gonna bring out later on. Just a bunch of crazy information that is just it's pretty wild for people to like, whoa, like wonder and believe, because it's just too out there. So it says that after he came back from his journey to the heavens, the Pleiades, he went and visited the fallen angels that are bound in these mountains in the Pleiades. It tells you that in the well, I won't give it away. But anyways, he comes back, he gathers his family, and he tells them what he's seen. He tells them like the things that he's seen, all the mysteries of the heavens, the knowledge that was given to him, the mystery school knowledge that has spread out throughout history, way before the Egyptian mystery schools were even in existence, way before the mystery schools of the Sumerians were even in existence. These beings had brought knowledge that was not supposed to be taught to the human race. And I'm not talking about the fallen angels. And this is the interesting thing about the book of Enoch. When you guys read the book of Enoch, it's, it's funny that the story tells you, the book of Enoch tells you that the fallen angels were punished because they were teaching all these extracurricular knowledge to the human race. And they were punished for it, right? But if you continue to read the book of Enoch, it says the book of Enoch was given knowledge that was not supposed to be shown to him. The same knowledge that the fallen angels were teaching to the human race. Remember, you guys got to remember, these individuals, these beings, interdimensional beings, extraterrestrials, reptilians, shapeshifters, aliens, gods, and creators, and whatever names you want to put them or name them, they were teaching all this knowledge to the human race. But for some strange reason, the other angels that were teaching Enoch were not punished. Mind you, Enoch, like when you guys read the book of Enoch, the book of Enoch explains the cycles of the stars, the procession of the stars and constellations that takes place every 2,000 plus years. And when you guys do the math, right, there's 12 constellations. If you guys multiply 12 constellations by 2,000 plus 200 years or whatever the like, go research, right? You come out with a number of 24,000, almost 25,000 years, which they call it the precession of the equinoxes, right? The equinoxes takes 25,000 years for them to go around. That's one cycle. There's another cycle of the four elements, of the four elementals that are creating and destroying on this planet, creating and destroying time and time again, year after year, year after year. There's 4 quarters within the year, within a 12-month period. So all these systems that I'm kind of like briefly mentioning, talking about right now, they were given all the secrets of that, the gates of the sun, the gates where the waters come down, the gates of the air. There's ducts on this planet, DUCTS. There's pipes where the air comes in and out. There's a drainage system on this planet for the water. There's the end of the earth. There's a certain point where there's no more land, and so that's another subject for itself, because I'm gonna bring out like amazing subjects later on that is gonna blow people's minds, because you guys have to understand that whatever we're witnessing in this modern society today is really not the pinnacle of the human race, right? It's not the pinnacle of the human race. These technologies that we have, these advancements in technology, technologically speaking, architecture, mathematics, science, physics, quantum mechanics, quantum physics, all these branches of science that I'm mentioning right now, they are nothing new. And later on in the podcast that are to come later on, that I will be bringing out, I will be sharing a lot of information regarding all the subjects that I just mentioned, in connection with the mystical knowledge that was shared by the angels way back in times immemorial, way before the human race was even created. And so the book of Enoch in chapter 91 tells Enoch that they are, that he was shown all these things, all these secrets. He was shown the heavens. He went to the Pleiades and the constellation of the Pleiades. He witnessed the cosmos. He witnessed the stars. Like literally, like he had an extraterrestrial encounter with these beings. And I'm gonna read you some of it in a minute. But his oldest son, which is Methuselah, right? His oldest son, Methuselah, comes and asks his father. Methuselah asked Enoch in the book of Enoch, chapter 91, "Will I see you again?" That's what Methuselah asked his father Enoch. Then the guardians themselves answer, "I will return." Now, we know that the guardians in the book of Enoch were angels, or were beings, or aliens, extraterrestrial beings. Now, when we talk about the word extraterrestrial, has a very interesting connotation to a lot of people at a psychological level. Why do I say that? because whenever you guys hear the word extraterrestrial, immediately at your own psyche, you immediately think of what? You guys already thinking about it. You immediately think about what? A small green alien being, OBE, or with big eyes, small nose, naked, green or gray. That's what people think about when you guys hear the word extraterrestrial. But the word extraterrestrial doesn't mean that. The word extraterrestrial means that something that the word extra means outside, and the word terrestrial means earthborn or earth-like, right? So so we know that these beings can look humanoid but are not born on this planet, because it's the word is extraterrestrial, outside the terrestrial plane in which humans are born, right? Because humans are terrestrial beings, right? Humans are terrestrial beings because we are born on this planet. We are grounded to the four elements, right? We are born of air, fire, and water, right? Infused with the spark of the gods way back in times immemorial. So Methuselah asked his father, "Will I see you again?" Then the guardians that came down with Enoch to gather his family to give him the last instructions before he went back to the heavens. Because remember, when he came back, he was alive. And when he left, he was also alive. That's why the angels and the guardians came down. And then and then he came and gave the instructions to his sons and daughters. And then he departed with the guardians in some sort of spaceship, Merkaba, mothership. I do not know. What we know is that Enoch had some sort of extraterrestrial experience in which he was shown many things that he didn't even brought down. There's a lot of things that Enoch did not write down. But so that's it for the biblical narrative, where we see some sort of interaction about angels, beings that are not from this dimension, and we're having an interaction with the human race back in times immemorial. All right, quickly, we're gonna go with 5 more biblical passages where we kind of can see a witness of the UFO phenomena. In Genesis chapter 18, we have Abraham having an encounter with 3 strangers that were eating with Abraham. Now, we know that if you guys read the book of Genesis 18, later on, Abraham finds out that these beings are not humans, but these guys are angels, right? These guys are angels that took on a human form. In other words, they were shape-shifting, right? These angels shape-shifted into human form in order to have a human interaction with Abraham. Numbers 22, it says that Balaam and his donkey encounter an angel in the road. Now, according to the book of Numbers, chapter 22, an angel is actually having a conversation with the donkey, right? Now, whether or not that story is allegorical or is it's a real story, well, you guys be the judge of that. I'm just bringing information out so you guys can understand that there has been beings that are extra dimensional, extraterrestrial, meaning outside, that are outside from this plane of existence of this 3-dimensional world. Joshua chapter 5 says that Joshua encounters the commander of the army of the Lord. Joshua encounters the commander of the army of the Lord. So we have the Lord, right? In this case, the Lord is Yahweh, according to the Bible. That's the God of the Israelites. That's the angel that basically hijacked the minds and the spirits of the ancient Israelites, painting them a narrative of the creation story, which was a lie, which later on I'm gonna bring out in very much detail. So, 2 Kings chapter 6, Elisha and the army of the angels. You guys remember the story when the spiritual eyes of the prophet Elisha are opened up to the point that he's able to witness the other dimension, and sees. He's able to witness with his own spiritual eyes or physical eyes. I do not know. But the Bible says, the story goes and says that Elisha witnessed the other dimension, and he witnessed all these millions of angels, beings, extra dimensional beings, beings of light. Because let me say this real quick. Let me rephrase that. The word angel. A lot of people misunderstand the word angel. They think when people speak about angels, many people think about bipedal humanoids with wings. Well, let me break it to you. Let me break you guys' bubble. The angels do not look like humans at all. As a matter of fact, when you guys go into the Hebrew language, if you guys read the Bible in Hebrew, there's many applications that you guys can that helps you to decode the Bible in the Hebrew and give you the meaning behind the words in the Bible. And so I'm gonna give you one example. The word seraphim, in Spanish is serafin. The word seraphim or seraphim or seraphim in the Hebrew, or whatever else names you got, pronunciation you guys want to use, it goes into the word seraphim means fiery serpents, meaning what? These beings were basically like what we witness or what we read in the Hindu text about the Nagas. The Nagas were basically like they were demigods in the form of snakes and reptilians that existed on this planet almost 1.5 million years ago, according to this ancient text that predate the Bible for at least 3,000 years. There's other Hindu texts that predate the Bible for at least 240,000 years, 1 million years. Like, and I know that you guys think I'm talking all this crazy stuff. I'm just talking because I want to talk. I'm gonna bring all that stuff out later on. I'm giving you guys glimpses of the information that later on I'm gonna bring out, so you guys can witness that this existence, this reality, this modern society is really nothing new under the sun. As a matter of fact, the King Solomon in the Bible tells you that like there's really nothing new under the sun, because everything has been destroyed time and time again throughout the ages. Once again, that's another clue for the information that I would like to bring out later on. But yeah, so that's that on that. Let's see. All right, cool. All right, so let's go back to let me bring another a few more, and then we're gonna go into the Hindu text, and I'm gonna bring brief information on the matter so that you guys can go research for yourselves and dive deeper into the subject matter, and so that you guys know that I'm not out here just making up stories or whatever the like. This is information that's been out there for many generations, going back to 2,000, 3,000, 4,000, 5,000, 6,000, 12,000 years ago, and even farther than that. But this information that I'm bringing out is very brief. It's just what would you call it? It's the tip of the iceberg. Let's just put it that way. All right. The book of Ezekiel, and their appearance and their work was it were a wheel in the middle of a wheel. Ezekiel 1:16. Right. So in Ezekiel 1:16, you have the prophet Ezekiel. Ezekiel was one of the major prophets that is looking in the heavens, witnessing this wheel within a wheel. And as a matter of fact,
this place. It isn't what you think.
My bad. Saying, I was saying earlier that I went to watch this movie called Ant-Man, and within that movie, they show you the wheel within the wheel concept, right? And I always say that many truths that are too wild out there for many people to understand, they have to put it in the movies so that it's kind of watered down for a lot of people to consume at a psychic and spiritual and emotional level. Because, bro, imagine if the Vatican, imagine if all the governments of the world all of a sudden decide to declassify all the information they have regarding this subject, regarding the creation of the human race at a genetic level, regarding the visitation of these beings predating the Adam himself. People are gonna go nuts. People will go crazy. Like, there's just a lot of things that a lot of people are not willing to accept. Why? Because a lot of people are so brainwashed into like belief systems. A lot of people are too brainwashed into religious ideologies and biblical ideologies. Now, I'm bringing the Bible so that you guys can witness that within the Bible, they allure, or they give you hints of the UFO activity taking place back in times immemorial. So, Book of Ezekiel 1:4 tells you that Ezekiel saw, and behold, a whirlwind came out of the north. Right? It says a whirlwind came out of the north, a great cloud, and a fire enfolding itself. It says, and a brightness was about it, and out of the midst thereof as the color of amber. Right? As the color of amber, out of the midst of the fire. You see that? So I don't know if you guys watched the movie Independence Day, but Independence Day literally show you what we just read in the book of Ezekiel 1:4 to the T. To the T. Now watch this, right? This is the most. As a matter of fact, both of the movies, Independence Day, show you the description of the UFO, the motherships that Ezekiel 1:4 was describing. Now check this out. So right there, you guys are witnessing what we read in the book of Ezekiel chapter 1:4, where it says that Ezekiel saw some sort of fire cloud enfolding itself about it, and in the midst of it, it was the color of amber, right? And that's exactly what you see in the movie. You see in the movie this spaceship that is enfolding itself in fire, and the reason why is because there's a friction between the spaceship coming in a high velocity, and the spaceship is creating friction with the air, igniting, creating some sort of chemical reaction that is igniting, that's creating fire, right? So we know that fire is created by the element of air, right? So that's basically what Ezekiel was witnessing, some sort of spaceship coming into the atmosphere in the heavens, igniting the air, creating thus far the fire that's enfolding this spaceship. See that? So they put this stuff in the movies, man. They put this information out there in the movies so that you guys can see it. Because when I say it, when other people say it, you guys are gonna think that we are crazy. And if we say it and we bring information out, a lot of people are gonna say, "Well, he watched it in the movies. It's in the movies." Well, no, it's in the movies because that's the only way the human race can actually absorb or absorb the information. Otherwise, people will go nuts and lose their minds and, just go crazy, and that's just a very glimpse of the information that's coming out right now. So what else? Yeah, so that was Ezekiel 1:4. This is let's see. Let me see what else we got and on the history, and then we're gonna continue to move on. But thanks for watching, everybody. Welcome to live. Yeah, this is a podcast that I'm doing. I'm setting the foundation so that you guys can understand that the subject of the UFO activity, the alien encounters, the alien interactions, alien abductions, like the Book of Enoch, chapter 91. Enoch was, I guess, he was taken into a spaceship where he witnessed a lot of stuff. In a way, you can say that he was abducted or he was taken up into a spaceship. Whether or not he went through some sort of medical procedure or they erase his memory so that he doesn't talk about it. He doesn't talk about it. It's not in the Bible. It's not in the Book of Enoch. But we know that according to the according to the evidence out there, many people like myself, many people have they have stories of being abducted or being visited by aliens in real life, right? Just like we witnessed earlier in Las Vegas, where you have two aliens that came down and in someone's backyard, not too long ago, right? Not too long ago. I think it was on May the 29th or May the 28th, which was, by the way, my birthday, or my return of the sun, right? I call it the return of the sun because that's basically what birthdays are. A birthday is basically when the sun returns to the sign that you were born in. So that when you guys hear like happy return of your son, is basically like referring to the time when you were born under a certain sign. So happy return of the sun refers to that. So
there's like an 8-foot person beside it, and another one beside it, and it has big eyes and looking at us, and it's still there.
Okay, where is this on your property?
In my backyard. I swear to God, this is not a joke. This is actually we terrified of it.
So there's two people or two subjects that are in your backyard?
Correct, and they're very large. They're like 8 foot, 9 feet, 10 foot. I don't know. They look like aliens to us. Big eyes. They have big eyes, like I can't explain it. And big mouth. They're shiny eyes, and they're not human. They're 100% not human.
Yeah, so that's a video that the guy that you guys are listening, his name is Angel. Angel is the one that made the 9/11 call because they were fixing a car in their backyard that night, and and all of a sudden they heard a boom out in the backyard. So they went outside to investigate, and when they came out, they saw some sort of something that was cloaked in some invisible thing, some invisible field. They called it some invisible field. Behind it, there was something solid. So, but they couldn't see it because it was transparent. So, but there was something there. And so, when they were they continued to investigate. Like two beings came out, and the being that you guys, the being or the alien that you guys are watching, that's in the backyard. There's a camera that was able to capture the being. Now, a lot of people say, "Oh, it's fake. It's CGI. This and that." Now, this is the thing. See, this is what I'm saying. Like we are living in such interesting times that we again, artificial intelligence is so powerful right now. You guys know that I did a podcast on artificial intelligence, showing you guys that artificial intelligence is evolving right now. So a lot of people are dismissing this evidence. Like, it's clear evidence that a being was there. Some sort of humanoid was standing right there that measured at least 8 to 10 feet tall. And he looked non-human. Even though he was human, he looked non-human. Now, when you guys look at there's a guy on YouTube that did a beautiful breaking down that this is not like a CGI. Like, it's really not. You can see like man, I'm telling you, like, we live in the age of information, but we also live in the age of disinformation. Why? Because there's so much information coming out to the masses, to the point that, like, even the CIA, you guys know that the CIA has like a program to create a disinformation out there in the media, on Facebook, on Instagram, on YouTube. There's gatekeepers. There's people that are paid for them to be online, basically like going after what you're saying. There's people like that are paid to like block you on Facebook, block you, or like listen to podcasts and information in order for them to record the information, be like, well, this guy is just going a little bit over the board. We need to make some actions and whatnot. And that's when they cancel you, they delete you from TikTok, from Twitter, like I was. And imagine, my channel is not even big. I only have like 868 subscribers, and a lot of people subscribe and unsubscribe, subscribe and unsubscribe, and they go back and forth. It's funny to watch my numbers going up and down, up and down, up and down. But anyways, so the point is that yo, imagine if I had 1 million subscribers and I spoke about the real, like the other stuff that like, yo, pretty wild, huh? So we live in an age where your perception is being formed as we speak. The UFO activity it has taken place since the times of Enoch, since the times of Adam, for many millenniums, as we witness in the historical record. We read it in the Bible. We witnessed how Enoch was taken up into the other dimensions, I know that the third heaven they call it, or space, the cosmos. I don't know, whatever name you want to use. I'm okay with that. All right. Let's see. All right. All right. So we were talking about Ezekiel, right? Where it talks about Ezekiel witnessing these spaceships, these phenomena in the heavens and whatnot, right? And we also can read it in the book of Zechariah 5:2, when it says, "What seest thou?" And I answer, "I see a flying roll. The length thereof," it says, "is 20 cubits, and the breadth thereof is 10 cubits." Right? Zechariah 5:2. Again, Zechariah describes these spaceships, but and the book of Ezekiel 1:4 describes a wheel within a wheel and all these aspects, these mechanical, I guess, phenomena that he was seeing. But let me bring this out, right? Let me see, because let me see, where is it? Yeah, there was a scientist back in the day. Let me see if I had it. I think I had it. Let me see. All right. So you guys heard about Eric von Daniken, right? Eric von Daniken's controversial book, Chariots of the Gods, has sold more than 45 million copies since release in the late 1960s. So this guy is basically like a German researcher that went deep into the subject of UFOs to describe these subjects to be real, to have been visited the human race all throughout the world in various civilizations. Now, all right. So it says that von Daniken and other UFO enthusiasts claim the Old Testament prophet Ezekiel saw a flying saucer. Ezekiel first beheld windstorm out of the north. Then he saw wheels. Then so that's the idea that we see that von Daniken was a researcher that was bringing this information down back in the days, basically exposing the information to the public in his book, Chariots of the Gods. So, but later on, this scholar called Joseph F. Bloomridge, which was an engineer with the National Aeronautics and Space Administration, right, was initially skeptical. Yeah, because again, I'm giving you guys kind of the background that von Daniken was like the heat guy, like he was the to-go guy back in the day, like about the subject of the UFO, heavily like bringing research, bringing information, bringing facts after facts after facts. And so we have this engineer named Joseph F. Blumrich from the National Aeronautics and Space Administration that was skeptical about the subject matter of von Daniken. So knowing something about spacecraft design, he determined that what Ezekiel described might in fact be a feasible design for landing modules from a mothership, right? Blumrich worked out the design in detail and then published the results in a 1973 book entitled The Spaceships of Ezekiel. He concluded that 4 living creatures may have been 4 sets of landing gear, each with a wheel to maneuver over the ground. See that? So, yeah. So the wings of each craft, he said, were probably similar to helicopter blades that were used for precision positioning before touchdown. A rocket engine on each craft explains the presence of fire. So we have an engineer that actually went ahead and created the thing, right? He created the thing, and that's the book that I'm kind of sharing with you guys. Oh, let me see. That's a bad camera. Hold on. Let me see if I can. Right there. Oh, no. Let me see. Yeah. Okay. All right. So that's basically like what I was sharing earlier. That's the book. That's called The Spaceships of Ezekiel. 1974 book by Joseph F. Blumrich, March 17, 1913, February 10, 2002, about a spaceship that was supposedly observed by the prophet Ezekiel, written while the author was the chief NASA system layout branch of the program development office of the Marshall Space Flight Center. See that? So this guy was a guy with some sort of credentials in which he was able to prove that without shadow of a doubt that this was some sort of a craft. Now, you guys want to believe him? You guys want to believe the Bible? You guys want to believe the Book of Enoch? That's really up to you guys. I'm just kind of sharing this information with you guys, so you guys know that this subject of UFOs come from different angles. Now, we're gonna go into the Sanskrit text, and then the Sanskrit text. There's many Hindu texts. There's many Buddhist texts, which explains, it shows, it shares the information about UFO landings, spacecrafts, motherships coming down to this planet, having interactions with the humans back in ancient times. So this subject is vast. There's so much information. It's proven in history. It can be proven in the Bible. It can be proven by many witnesses that have seen this subject matter. And so that's basically what we're gonna go into, and then at the end, I'm gonna share my story, and we're gonna call it a night. And I think you guys know my podcast sometimes lasts for hours. So, but I'm gonna try to go as quickly as possible and with the information, and we're gonna go from there. So. So right there is it's letting you know the Vaimanika Sastra makes the claim that these vehicles were capable of interplanetary flight. Now, these are texts that predate your Bible, right? There's a propulsion was achieved using Mercury vortex engines. See that? And it gives you the layouts. The text also includes details on steer mechanisms, protection from weather, and solar energy technology. 16 types of metal are specifically named in the construction processes. Yeah, man. So these Sanskrit documents discovered in the Tibet describe blueprints for the construction of these spaceships, right? And that's And that's kind of what the story I was sharing with you guys earlier about the 8 soldiers that came and discovered one of these spaceships. Even the Chinese government discovered that. So this information, like if you guys deep into this subject, you guys are gonna come out this information. The Vimanas is called. And there's different types, but the point and the fact of the matter is that these spaceships were witnessed by the ancient Hindu people back in the day, right? And that's basically what they describe in their tales, in their stories, in their ancient texts that again predate the Bible for many thousands of years. So there's a book by Professor Dr. Kanjilal. Dr. Kanjilal is a professor of Sanskrit, right? And the book is called the Drone Parva, the Drone Parva. This is a Hindu text that we're talking about, texts that are 6,000 years and so on and so forth, in which it's called the Vimanika Shastra. The Vimanika Shastra is basically the science of the aeronautics of these Vimanas that you guys just were watching earlier. The Vimanas were described in the ancient Sanskrit Hindu text, describing these flying metallic spaceships, motherships, and whatnot. But in the Vimanika Shastra, which is the science of aeronautics, it gives you the description, the power source or the electricity that is used by the spaceships, the types of metals used in the construction of these flying vehicles, and the things that you're supposed to wear when flying inside these spaceships. The weapons in the spaceships are also described in this text. So the Yantra Sarvasva, another Hindu text, describes, like it's basically the original text describing the same spaceships that pretty much all the cultures of the world, whether it be Alexander the Great, whether it be Enoch, whether it be Ezekiel, whether it be the prophet Elisha, the Joshua, whether it be Noah, whether it be Roman historians, Christopher Columbus, soldiers within the military, whistleblowers, they all have been describing the same thing time and time again. There has been a genetic program that has been in existence for thousands of years, right? And I know that you guys have heard me say many times in my podcast that humanity was genetically engineered by some sort of advanced beings that arrived on this planet roughly 450,000 years ago, right? But we know that the story of the Hindus basically even go back farther than that. So what you guys, well, let me say this real quick, and then I'm gonna go deeper on the subject matter in a different podcast. But what you guys read in the Sumerian texts, which are the most ancient texts in existence when it comes to the narrative of the Bible, they're literally a copy of much ancient texts that many of those people that wrote down in those cuneiform writing systems in the Sumerian tablets, there were people that information was passed down to the Sumerians, but that information it goes back even farther than the Sumerians, which is 5,000 years, because writing systems came about when 5,000 years ago. According to the historical record and archaeological record, we can find the evidence of writing systems dating back to 5,000 years ago. So, but we know, well, at least I have the information. Many other people have brought the information. Many other people have this information as well, that the writing systems that we find in evidence in the archaeological record about the Sumerians go back even farther, 12,000 years ago. And the people, and so with that, I'm gonna leave it alone at that, because I want this subject to be a different podcast. So but yeah, so we have whistleblowers coming out. We have many Pentagon officials, we have soldiers, we have pilots from airplanes saying the same thing, witnessing the same objects, flying shields, UAPs, UFOs, ovnis, whatever you guys want to use. They have been around for thousands of years on this planet. So this whole subject about UFOs today is nothing new under the sun. Really nothing new.
UFOs exist. The U.S. government found quite a number of them, and they are indeed of non-human origin. Those are the explosive allegations from a former intelligence officer tonight in a whistleblower complaint that the Inspector General is taking very seriously. 36-year-old Air Force veteran David Grush is exposing what he calls a top-secret military program that has reportedly found wreckage of fully intact UFOs. The government now calls them UAPs, or unidentified anomalous phenomena. For years, there have been whispers and rumors that the government had aircraft of non-human origin. This report is the first evidence it might be true. The Inspector General has called Grush's complaint urgent and credible. Tonight, we have a World Television exclusive interview with the whistleblower in which he claims we not only have the aircraft, but the government has been keeping much of its secret from Congress and from the public. News Nation senior national correspondent Brian Enton is here with the story, and this is a blockbuster.
It is a blockbuster. It's really hard to wrap your mind around this. I've been working on this for the past couple of weeks. I'm still having a hard time processing all of it. Over the last couple of years, it sort of became mainstream to discuss UFOs. The government has released videos. They've acknowledged that we don't know what some of this stuff is out there that we have on camera, but this really takes it all to another level. For the very first time, the world is about to hear from a former high-level U.S. intelligence officer who says the government has some of the unidentified craft in its possession. He is revealing these exclusive details about the secret government program.
We're going against the wind. The wind's 120 knots from the west. Oh my gosh, dude. Wow.
We have all seen these blurry videos of unidentified flying objects. Video evidence, if you will, that old tales of UFOs may not all be conspiracy theories. In recent years, Congress starting an official U.S. government unidentified aerial phenomena task force, recently renamed the All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Office, or AARO. And now in a News Nation exclusive, David Grush, an Air Force veteran, former member of that task force, and veteran of the National Geospatial Intelligence Agency, is formally blowing the whistle on secrets he says no one has ever shared publicly before.
You are one of the most trusted former intelligence officials in the U.S. defense and intelligence establishment.
Yes, I was.
You were trusted with the most intimate secrets.
Yes.
Grush sitting down with award-winning investigative journalist Ross Coulthart, who's reporting for News Nation and has spent years reporting on the UFO question.
What conclusion did you come to at the end of your time on the UAP task force?
The UAP task force was refused access to a broad crash retrieval program.
When you say crash retrieval, what do you mean?
These are retrieving non-human origin technical vehicles, call it spacecraft if you will, non-human, exotic origin vehicles that have either landed or crashed.
We have spacecraft from another species.
We do, yeah.
How many?
Quite a number.
You're kidding.
No. I thought it was totally nuts, and I thought at first I was being deceived. It was a ruse. People started confiding in me. They approached me. I have plenty of current and former senior intelligence officers that came to me, many of which I knew almost my whole career, that confided in me they were a part of a program. They named the program. I've never heard of it. And they told me, based on their oral testimony, and they provided me documents and other proof, that there was, in fact, a program that the UAP task force was not read into.
Grush alleges the U.S. government has recovered non-human craft for decades. He's filed a whistleblower complaint saying he gave what he calls the classified proof to Congress and the intelligence community inspector general. News Nation has confirmed David Grush's credentials and resume. We've not seen or verified the alleged proof he says he's provided to investigators. He says he can't show us the proof for national security reasons. He also tells us he's not seen photos of the alleged craft himself, but has talked extensively with other intelligence officials who have.
If you're right, if you're telling us the truth, everyone, the entire American public, has been lied to for decades.
Yeah, there's a sophisticated disinformation campaign targeting the U.S. populace, which is extremely unethical and immoral.
You are saying to the human race, for the first time, an official intelligence representative at a high level from the US government is saying publicly, we are not alone.
We're definitely not alone. Absolutely, the data points empirically that we're not alone, yeah.
Do we have bodies? Do we have species of
Well,
non-human?
naturally, when you recover something that's either landed or crashed, sometimes you encounter dead pilots. And believe it or not, as fantastical as that sounds, it's true.
It's also harder for people to wrap their minds around the concept of a crashed object from somewhere else. It's easier to accept that, yeah, we see things in the sky that we can't explain.
Journalist Leslie Kean broke Rush's whistleblower story this morning in the debrief. Ms. Kean's career has been mainstream and credible, having written a series of reports on UFOs in the New York Times dating back to 2017. He has the credentials, but there's no documents that he's handed over. There's no pictures. And as a journalist, you want to see documents, you want to see pictures. Does that raise a red flag?
Not at all, Brian. I mean, you mean documents that actually describe the craft?
Correct, yeah, like government documents, or to be able to see it for ourselves.
Of course, don't we all want that? And the problem with that is all of that information is classified. You know, as we said in the story, everything that Grush told Congress and told the Inspector General of both the IC, the Intelligence Community Inspector General, and the Department of Defense Inspector General, all of that information is classified.
In 2017, Kean reported exclusively in the New York Times that the Pentagon had a secret UFO program. 3 years later, the Pentagon confirmed her story. Her latest report is even more explosive, but Kean says she has multiple sources who back up Grush's story.
I believe it because of all the sources I have who have told me the same thing. So who am I to doubt these very, very high-level people who have been inside these programs for decades, have done their work, and are all telling me the same thing? I mean, I don't think there's some kind of conspiracy among all these people who don't know each other to make something like this up.
So I've got to be blunt about this. You're not making this up. This is not a lie.
No, absolutely not.
Because everybody watching this right now is looking at your face. They're going, is this guy for real?
I am for real. And I'm sitting here at great personal risk and obvious professional risk by talking to you today.
And just within the last 10 minutes or so, the Pentagon has released a statement to News Nation about this report. They say to date, AARO has not discovered any verifiable information to substantiate claims that any programs regarding the possession or reverse engineering of extraterrestrial materials have existed in the past or exist currently. AARO is committed to following the data and its investigation wherever it leads. AARO, working with the Office of the General Counsel and the Air Force Office of Special Investigations, has established a safe and secure process for individuals to come forward with information to aid AARO in its congressionally mandated historical review. AARO's historical review of records and testimonies is ongoing and due to Congress by June 2024, and AARO welcomes the opportunity to speak with any former or current employee or contractor who believes they have information relevant to this historical review. And Elizabeth, we know that David Grush, he's filed that whistleblower complaint. He's been on the record under oath testifying to many of these things that he said in our report tonight.
Right, and it's important to point out that this statement from the Pentagon, from AARO, Grush is alleging that this top secret program is keeping it a secret from AARO. So.
Yeah, exactly. And if Grush what he's saying is true, the spokespeople, all of those folks at that level wouldn't even know this was going on anyway.
All right, I got to ask you, he has a compelling story to tell. Very little of it seems like firsthand knowledge. Isn't he just repeating what somebody else has told him or somebody else has showed him?
Yes. That is what he's doing, but he says he's talked to a number of people who are in very, very high-level positions. He also had basically the highest level of classified material information that he was able to receive. We went back and checked over, his history, all of his credentials. Check out completely. Unfortunately, there's
in addition, a couple people have come forward publicly to vouch for him, people who are high-ranking.
They have. And this article first came out this morning, and I think it's interesting that, there hasn't been any sort of effort to discredit what he has said either from the Defense Department.
So interesting.
So there it is, folks. An intelligence officer. Now, do I believe what he's saying? Do they have an agenda? Does the highest state of government have an agenda to deceive and lie? Of course I do. Because that's what's been happening throughout the years and decades on these in the United States since the Roswell incident took place and whatnot. And there's many other incidents that have taken place in many other countries, like in Brazil and whatnot, of spaceship recovery and spacecraft reversal engineer or back engineer programs. You guys know Bob Lazar is one of the most famous ones, but the interview was funny though, because the interview was like, "Are you sure you're telling the truth? Because everybody's watching your face." That was funny as fuck. But anyway, yeah. So it's very interesting. Once again, very interesting that a lot of people are against the subject matter. Like, oh no, UFOs are basically Air Force secret space program that are flying in the skies in secret, like the B-2 or like the F-117 or AK Nighthawk. Remember that? These are basically like anti-radar spacecraft from the Air Force of the United States. But that's different, a totally different subject. We have these spacecraft, these spaceships, these ethereal spaceships, Merkabas, if you guys want to call them, that are very organic in nature. They're organic to the point that they can accelerate like 500 miles within 1 second or so, or whatever, bending time and space or violating the laws of physics on this planet. So we know that these spaceships are there, and I'm telling you that they're real because I have seen them many times, at least 4 times in my life. And the story that I'm about to share in a minute later, is the story where I witnessed a spaceship outside my house. But more on that story later. So I want to bring this out before we move on to the story. And then, yeah, you know what? Before we go into that, I would like to bring out the Sefer HaYashar. The Sefer HaYashar is a medieval midrash by the Jews, which is called the Book of the Correct Records, right? It's a Jewish midrash from the medieval times, right? And in many instances of the Sefer HaYashar, it covers many legends regarding genetic experiments being done by these so-called angels or beings that are described in the Bible, in the book of Enoch, in the Torah. So let me give you a couple of them, and then we're gonna move on. Okay. But thanks for watching, everybody. Thanks for sticking around. All right, so we're gonna go into the Sefer HaYashar, which again is the Midrash, or aka the Book of the Correct Record. Also, is also known by the Book of Yashar, this is not the same book, Yashar, that you guys find in that a lot of people talk about. You guys have a lot of people talking about the Book of Yashar that is not found in the Bible, but it's mentioned in the Book of Yashua, chapter 10, verse 13, when it talks about certain things that are not written in the Bible are written in the book of Yashar, or aka the Sefer HaYashar. And once again, what I'm about to read is from the Sefer HaYashar, from chapter 4:18. It says, and their judges and rulers. Now the word rulers, we know that in the Greek is talking about the archons, but the rulers right there is talking about the same beings that you guys read of in the book of Genesis chapter 6, when it says that the sons of God, or the Beneha Elohim, Beneha Elohim, came unto the daughters of men, and they began to bring forth children that were basically the demigods, or the titans, on the or the gigantes of back in ancient times. So the book of the correct record, chapter 4:18, it says, and their judges and rulers went to the daughters of men, and took their wives by force from their husbands according to their choice. And the sons of men in those days took from the cattle of the earth, the beasts of the field, and the fowls of the air, and taught the mixtures of animals. You see that? Genetic experiments. And taught the mixtures of animals of one species with the other, aka chimeras. Chimeras are basically half lions, half whatever, or like half horse, half something else. Like, and I'm gonna show you that what I'm talking about is nothing far-fetched, because China literally like mixed two animal species with one another, creating like what you guys call chimeras. So they were doing this back in times immemorial. It says, and taught the mixture of animals of one species with the other, in order therewith to provoke the Lord. And God saw the whole earth, and it was corrupt. You see that? For all flesh had corrupted its ways upon the earth, all men and all animals. Meaning what? Meaning there were like creatures that were monsters on this planet, dragons and whatnot. Like many stories of the ancient cultures, like the Mayans, the Aztecs, the Chinese, the Japanese, the Norse, the Egyptian, the Mesopotamians, the Sumerians, and so on and so forth. The African cultures, they all speak about beings that didn't look like humans, but they were like some sort of like monsters, demons, vampires, and whatnot. And all that information that I'm saying right now, I'm gonna corroborate it with historical records also. So I'm not just saying stuff for for those who like to go into the historical records. So I'm gonna be sharing more stories later on about these subjects. But yeah, I want to bring that out about how these extraterrestrials, these beings, these angels, these fallen angels, these shapeshifters were genetically modifying beings. They were doing a lot of genetic experiments in times immemorial, and the earth was corrupted way back in times immemorial, back in ancient times. And so it's whether or not that was the reason of the flood. The book of Enoch talks about it. The book of the correct record, aka the Sefer HaYashar, which is a medieval midrash of the Jews' legends and historical oral traditions. They speak about genetic experimentation by these beings. So a lot of ufologists, researchers, and investigators, they suspect that the reason why you see a lot of these abductions is because perhaps what they're doing is preparing to seed the planet back again when this planet is what would you call it? When this planet is reset. When there's a reset, when the reset button is pressed, and this planet is basically like, you guys know, and so civilization begins again, another cycle of civilization begins again, and so on and so forth, and the cycle begins time and time and time again and again and again. And so that's what happens. And so a lot of ufologists, no, this is not me saying, a lot of ufologists, investigators are saying that maybe the reason why the abduction events are taking place with humanity is to do the genetic experimentations, so that when this world is basically wiped out, and is reborn again through the ashes, like the phoenix, like it happened before, like it's going to happen again, like according to the Bible prophecies. and other prophecies from many other people. There's many other prophecies saying, that there's going to be a reset on this planet. So I believe, my personal belief is that the reason why the UFO activity um, is being witnessed by many humans, my majority of humanity on the planet, is because the human race is moving towards a different shifting of evolution, a different pattern of thinking, a different ideology, a different system of belief. The human race is walking towards the elevation of the conscious of the collective consciousness of the human race, because you find many people online in the real life, many people that are living Christianity. They're evolving when it comes to the understanding of who God is and who we are, and in the chaos of life, in the soup of life, and the soup of this existence and this creation that we call life, right? That we are more than flesh bags, that we are more than just beings, that we look like this and that, and we're fat or we're skinny, we're strong, we're fit, and you're black, you're white, you're Chinese, you have slanted eyes, you're yellow, you're purple, you're brown, you're güerito, you're güera, whatever they like and stuff. You know what I'm saying? So there's many aspects of the human race that are being destroyed, the constructs of the human race that we have constructed within our minds and our psychic for thousands of years. Because of what I always tell you guys, that there is such a thing as genetic memory. Genetic memory is basically like information that has been embedded at a genetic level in the RNA system. Okay, that's the reality. This is biology. I'm speaking about biology. This is real stuff. This is real science. It's not some just mumbo bumbo stuff that I'm speaking about. You guys could go and research genetic memory. You guys are gonna come about many articles speaking about from a biologist standpoint, biologists themselves and geneticists themselves, talking about how certain trauma, information, knowledge, wisdom, and understanding can be passed down through the RNA, because there cannot be DNA with RNA. RNA are the proteins to make DNA. DNA is information with these codes of life. It's how to make another you, you know. And so even within DNA, there's certain what would you call it? There's certain parts within your DNA, at least to 11 strands of DNA, that are not activated. Okay, they are not activated, but somehow they were created to be inside that, right there in our system, within our biology. So, and again, that subject is going to be brought out later on. But I just want to say that the genetic manipulation has been done before. Visitation by these spacemen, space beings, ancient aliens, angels, or whatever name you guys want to use, they've always been around. So
you're going into this craft, and what are you thinking when you're inside of it? Like, what are you seeing?
It's a very ominous feeling, because
you're going into this craft, and what are you thinking when you're inside of it? Like, what are you seeing?
All right, so what I'm about to show you guys, this is Bob Lazar. Bob Lazar came out as a whistleblower that was working in a secret facility called the S4. Not Area 51. This is another area called S4. Like it was some sort of military base that was secret, in which they were doing back engineer from a spacecraft that they have recovered. Now, we know that the whistleblower earlier told you guys that the United States government has a program, a UFO recovery program, because what they've been doing, they've been, I guess, using like some sort of space weapons, or like some sort of energy weapons that they use in order to bring down these spaceships. So whatever technology that they're using is not available for the public. That's obviously right. So this is kind of the interview. He went out, Joe Rogan. You guys want to watch the whole interview? It's like, I think it's 2 or 3 hours. But anyways, this is what he said about the so-called back engineer of this so-called UFO that they recovered.
You're going into this craft, and what are you thinking when you're inside of it? Like, what are you seeing?
It's a very ominous feeling, because there are no, first of all, everything is one color. It's like a dark pewter color, and there are no right angles anywhere. It's as if somebody took, I've said this before, somebody took a model and fashioned it out of wax and then heated it just for a short time so everything melted. Everything looks like it's fused together. Everything has a radius of curvature where two items meet. It's a really weird looking thing. But there was almost nothing other than a small foldable hatchway that looked recognizable. Everything was really unworldly, to pick on it, a way to describe it.
So you get inside this thing, and it's designed for something that's much smaller than a human being.
Yeah, you can't really stand up till you get to the very center of it.
And how tall are you?
I'm 5'10".
And what do you think this was designed for?
I'd say something close to half my height.
Wow. So these little 3-foot tallish creatures.
Yeah, and the seats were small too. I mean, obviously it was made, for something small. But
right there. And so back in the day, this guy Bob Lazar, he came out as a whistleblower, and he blew the whistle, duh. And he brought all this information. A lot of people lost their minds, and they started saying, he's off, he's crazy, he doesn't work, he's not what he says he is, blah 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 blah. You guys know the story when you guys when a lot of people do not understand certain things, people are afraid of what they do not understand. That's the thing. You guys shouldn't be afraid of this information. This subject matters. This information is already embedded within yourself at a psychic level, emotional, and DNA level. It's inside of yourselves. All you guys have to do is remember what happened in the past, right? So technological advances in the 1970s enable scientists today to mix the genes of different animals and the genes of animals and plants. Some of Ellen White's earlier writings from 1864 suggest such technology may have existed before the worldwide flood. But if there was one sin above another which called for the destruction of the race by the flood, it was the base crime of amalgamation of men and beasts, which defaced the image of God and caused confusion everywhere. Spiritual Gifts, Volume 3, page 64. Every species of animal which God had created were preserved in the ark. The confused species which God did not create, which were the result of amalgamation or genetic manipulation, were destroyed by the flood. Since the flood, there has been amalgamation of men and beasts, as may be seen in the almost endless varieties of species of animals and in certain races of men. IBID, page 75. So, we know that the government, has recovered these spacecraft that has crash landed on this planet, and you guys listen to the whistleblower saying that they have at least 12 spacecraft in their possession that they have been doing what we call it, back engineer, right? So imagine, we're talking about back in the 1960s, back in the 1970s, they were doing genetic experiments. The Bible talks about that. Ancient manuscripts of the Midrash from the medieval times called the Sefer Hayashar, Book of the Correct Record, chapter 418, talking about genetic experiments being done by these beings, extraterrestrials, gods, creators. Because the reason why I call them creators is because they are creators. They created the human race back in times immemorial through genetic manipulation. You guys, we are the human being, the human host is nothing more than a flashback created in a lab way back in times immemorial. It's a biochemical machine. This is where most of the world that we see today takes their technology from. They have back engineered the body into cars. What are cars? Cars are nothing more than what? It's basically your digestive system with the pump of the heart and whatnot, and some other systems like the fluid systems that will be the veins and and whatnot, and the hydraulics will be like the pipes of your air that distributes the air throughout the system, all the systems, all your organs in your body, and your brain. The brain will be the chip computer that is embedded within your car. So the things that you guys witness in the in the outside world, in the physical self, in the physical realm, the 3D world, the world, that's nothing more than copy technology back engineered from the body. The body is nothing more than the artificial intelligence of the organic matter, which is the planet. You guys follow? So and that, and obviously the body is what? The body is made up of 4 elements, right? But earth, water, air, and fire, which is the electrical systems that are running your body. You guys have 5 million billion of cells. Each cell is charged at a 0.07 electrical charge, right? So now multiply that by 5 million billion cells. Now imagine how much charge you got within yourself, within us. So, the body is just like some magnificent wonder that was genetically modified way times immemorial, and the body is not perfect. You know why? Because somehow, for some reason, there's some sort of what they call it. This is genetic information that has been brought out by many scientists and geneticists and other people that study the mystical knowledge, like Billy Carson. You guys know who that is. But yeah, so this is it's just information that I wanted to bring out so you guys can understand that it's not far-fetched. This idea about UFOs is not far-fetched. The information that you guys are being presented today about UFOs by the government, the disclosure programs, is nothing new. Okay, it's nothing to be wonder about. As a matter of fact, you guys should be excited about these timelines, because every time these guys show up throughout the historical timeline, something's going on the planet. Something drastic is going on the planet. And so that's something that you guys have to look in the heavens. And even Christ himself talked about that in the book of Matthew 24, when he said, just tell us like when it's gonna be like the end of times. Like, oh well, just look at the heavens, look at the signs in the heavens, right? Now you guys may say, well, the signs of the heavens was referring to the constellations, brother. Oh, well, it was referring to the sun and the moon. Oh, okay, well, there's other aspects of the sun and the moon and the stars, right? There's constellations that are interacting with each other in the heavens, right? There's a story being told in the sky night after night, year after year, century after century, millennium after millennium. There's a story that's being told since the times of creation of this planet, as a message and a witness to the entire human race. And so when you guys witness the UFO activity taking place at a higher rate, is because there's a change coming to the planet that is going to be very drastic. It's going to change the paradigm completely as a whole. And this is why many governments are freaking out. This is why there's so many distractions with the Ukraine-Russia war and all this other BS. You guys know what happened with in 2020. I will not name names and say what happened. You guys know what happened in 2020, in 2019 and 2022. And the quarantines and all that. You guys know what I'm talking about? Well, I hope you guys follow. So all of that right there was just like a massive attempt against the human race to like shut down the momentum of this human awakening that's been taking place since the year 2012, right? Which basically was literally 2 years ago? No, 3 years ago, right? And I'll explain that later on. But anyway, so let's see. Oh, here it is. Now, It says Chinese scientists at the Shanghai Second Medical University in 2003 successfully fused human cells with rabbit eggs. You see that? The embryos were reportedly the first human animal chimeras successfully created. In Minnesota last year, researchers at the Mayo Clinic created pigs with human blood flowing through their bodies. You see that? What's caused the uproar is the mixing of human stem cells with embryonic animals to create new species. Weissman has already created mice with brains that are about 1% human. Later this year, he may conduct another experiment where the mice have 100% human brains. This would be done, he said, by injecting human neurons into the brains of embryonic mice. Animal-human hybrids spark controversy. That's the article of what I'm reading from. From the National Enquiry, January 25, 2005, the National Geographic. So it's not far-fetched. Everything that I'm saying, scientists are doing it now. Same thing that these gods were doing way times in the day. So see.
Varginha incident in Brazil.
Yeah.
There was a crashed UFO. It seems like there was a crashed UFO in Varginha, Brazil in 1996. Everyone who was alive back then has a story of seeing these things flying through the air.
Yeah.
The people that made contact with these creatures, one of them died of a horrible bacterial infection. There's record of them transporting it to 3 different hospitals.
Wow.
Yeah, wild shit, man. Wild
Wow.
shit. They did an autopsy on it, supposedly. The Air Force supposedly flew into Varginha, Brazil, and came back with the wreckage.
Yeah, man. So I remember this incident that took place in Virginia, Brazil. It took place many years ago. I found out like when I was 14, I think, or 15. And when I read it, like it blew my mind. I'm like, what the F, you know? And I really I believe it. I believe it because I have seen UFOs. I have seen aliens in real life. I have seen other creatures, other spirits, other entities, beings that are not from this dimension, you know. And those stories, I'm gonna say for another subject, for another podcast in a different day. But yeah, um, the fact of the matter is that whether be UFOs are found in the Bible, they were called angels, aliens. They were doing genetic experimentations. They were creating chimeras. Whether or not that was the reason why the flood happened, the fact of the matter remains, which is what that there was interdimensional beings that were having interaction one-on-one with the human race for how long I don't know, but it was a long time, and it was recorded in the ancient texts all throughout the historical record by many people, including Alexander the Great, many Roman historians, many biblical prophets, whether it be people that worked in the governments, pilots of the Air Force, civilian world, and so on and so forth. The evidence is there. These beings have existed, have interacted with the human race since times immemorial. So the subject the subject of UFOs is it shouldn't really like surprise anybody, because when you guys do the research, you guys are gonna find out that these beings arrived, these beings were real, these beings created civilizations. And later on in a different podcast, I'm gonna show you guys the information, the archaeological records, the information that is embedded in ancient texts that predate your Bible for at least 6,000, 12,000, 20,000 years. And so, you know, and there's new information that's out there. You know, the OASP Bible, you know, speaks about different cosmic timelines and cycles that go in the millions, okay? Because once again, just like the cycles of the earth are taking place year by year by year, every year you see new cycles of the plants coming on. Every year, every spring, the plants are not the same. And so every year we see destruction and construction and building and rebirth and reborn of plants and whatnot. Well, the earth goes through that as well. There's a cycle coming to the planet. And one of those cycles happened during the flood. That was one cycle, okay? Another cycle happened, well, you know what? I'm going to save that subject for a different day. But the whole point is that every time we see the cycles take place on the planet, every single time throughout history, when you guys study the mystical stories, the stories of the ancient ones, the Sanskrits, the Vedas, Mahabharata, and so on and so forth, all these ancient texts speak about some sort of destructions, cyclical destructions that come to the planet. And every time that happens, there's some sort of beings that are coming to this planet, having interaction, showing knowledge, giving wisdom or understanding, or showing some secrets to certain humans and whatnot. You know what I'm saying? So it's not far-fetched. So UFO activity has been around for thousands of years, since times immemorial. It's not a new subject. It's not something that it's only taking place just back in the 1960s or now. No, these beings have been around for many ages and cycles and millenniums on this planet. And every time, again, there's a shift happening at a conscious level throughout the world. New information is coming out. A new paradigm is being formed at a collective level within the mind, within the consciousness of the human race, and it's affecting the creation of the 3D world. That's when these beings come and help out and interact. And so this is why I believe, this is my belief, I believe that there's an agenda by the governments of the world in order to create and paint a picture at a psychological level in the movies to portray the aliens as being what? Whenever we see movies, what is the theme that you guys see in the movies? What is the main theme that you guys see in the movies? That the aliens are what? That the aliens come to what? To do evil, to destroy, to enslave and burn and all this, that, and then the third, right? But what if the governments are lying? What if they're just painting a picture of the aliens being bad and evil, and they have to like create these movies so that when they show up, what are you guys gonna do? You guys are gonna fear. You guys are gonna be afraid of the arrival of these spaceships and spacecrafts and motherships and whatnot, and because they're here, they're already here. They've been here since times immemorial, like we have seen in the Bible, in the midrash of the medieval times of the Jewish people, oral traditions, whether it be the Book of Enoch, whether it be the Torah, the Bible, the New Testament, whether it be the historical records. They've always been here. So why hide this information, and why lie to the community, to the world community about aliens and stuff? As a matter of fact, I think I heard, I'm not lying, I'm not making this up. I think I heard in the news that aliens are basically like, I guess, attacking humans now. There's reports out there that aliens are attacking humans. Like, come on, man. Like, what I'm saying is that there's an agenda being portrayed through Hollywood to change the perception about these UFO activity and the UFO arrival and all these UFO phenomena, facts and information and the things that you guys are seeing. It's all out there. It's just really out there. We are living in a movie. We are living in a movie. Like, the action is out there. There's action, cameras, what is it? Lights, camera, action. That's basically what's going on. We are living in a movie. You guys, you watch the movie, watch the news. I mean, they've been talking about aliens, and UFO arrivals, and UFO disclosure, and all this other stuff. Like, come on, man. We have seen this before.
You used to work at Area 51. When did things get weird? When did you realize this doesn't even seem like it's from this planet?
It was in the demonstration of the reactor working where it caught my attention to where this is technology that doesn't even exist.
What was it technologically?
Well, this was a small reactor about the size of a hemisphere, about the size of a basketball on a metal plate. And when it was running, it produced a gravitational field of its own. Now, this is something that we can't do. We can't produce any gravity. The only way we get gravity is from large quantities of mass. But there's no machine we can have that turns on that makes gravity. Anyway, this device was producing that. And Barry said, almost like he was bragging, go ahead, try and touch the sphere. And I couldn't. It pushed my hands away, just like two like poles of a magnet.
You used to work at
Yeah, man. So that's again Bob Lazar letting you know that he spoke about element 115 back in the day, and guess what? Element 115 was not in existence on this planet, meaning that this element that these spaceships are made out of they were non-existent on this planet. So guess what happened in the year 2013, I believe, or 2017? They I think they put the element 115 in the periodic table, or they added it, or they recognized it as being one extra element besides the periodic table of elements. So imagine, like back in the day, Bob Lazar was being the whistleblower, and he was talking about crazy stuff that people didn't even believe him, right? Like, oh, this guy's nuts, bro. He lost it. He's smoking too much weed. He's eating too much mushrooms. This, and that, and the third. But that's Bob Lazar. Every speaker of truth, every whistleblower, every, I don't know, man, what would you call it? Every Neo that's living in the matrix, that is speaking their truth, that we're speaking our truth, that we're sharing this information out. Like, we are always labeled as such and such and such and such. We are labeled as not jobs crazy, you're missing a screw, you're eating too much mushrooms, smoking too much weed. And they use all these labels because they're afraid of the information. They're afraid that their notions are going to crumble down. They're afraid that their belief systems is gonna crash down, and it's gonna be shattered. And then after that, then what am I gonna believe? Like, what's next? Who am I gonna believe in? When actually Christ told you that the kingdom of God is inside of yourself. Even your Torah says that I have said that ye are gods, but ye shall die like men. Why? Because at the end of the day, when the human race was genetically engineered, they were programmed to live at least 120 years at a genetic level. And we know that because there's a gene, what's it called? Gene number 1, I believe, or there's some gene within the chromosomes that they grab that gene, right? They grabbed that gene, they spliced it, and they added a new gene, and they put 2 caps on each of the ends of the chromosomes called the telomeres. The telomeres are basically like some sort of like I don't know. Think of it as a cover. It's like a cover that, let me see if I can draw it. I think, it's right here. Yeah, it's right here. It's right there. You see that right there? That's the chromosome right there. And so the chromosomes are like they're in an X form, and on each of the tips they have like that, what you call they call telomeres. The telomeres are these caps that enable the human being to be programmed at a genetic level to live a certain age. And so that's right there the evidence that the human race has been spliced before at a genetic level. So but yeah. All right, so here we go. For those who are leaving and those who have left, thanks for coming on and thanks for watching. Those who are going to stay, welcome to this live. This is the last part of this podcast where I'm gonna share my abduction story. So tune in, stay comfortable. It's gonna be short, it's not too long, but let me see if I find these real quick. Let me see. Right here. Right there, yes. All right, give me a minute. I'm gonna show you where I was born, and then I'm gonna narrate my story behind the video that you guys are gonna witness. The place that I was born is called Telolhuapan, Guerrero. I grew up with my grandma right there, and it was the most magical experience. And you guys are gonna see why. It's just a little town. It's a small little pueblo. And for those who do not know, I'm from the country of Mexico or Mexico, in a state called Guerrero, Telolhuapan, Guerrero. And that's where I was born. I grew up most of my life there at the age of 12. Yeah, at the age of 12, that's when I left. Let me see. Yeah, it's loading up. Give me a minute, guys. But thanks for watching, everybody. And here we go. So once again, this is called Telolhuapan, Guerrero. What you guys are seeing right now, that's called El Zócalo. El Zócalo is basically like, I don't know, downtown. And that's where basically we all hung out, riding around, listening to the people play guitar and like right there in the middle of that downtown. That was the church that my grandma, my grandpa, my mom used to take us when we before we went to the fair. That's basically the place right there. And it's such beautiful stories that I have from this place that I was born in, called Telolhuapan, Guerrero. This is where my story begins. This is where everything that I talk about, all the things, all the strange things that I speak about in my podcast sometimes that I share, this is where it happens. Like most of the stuff, most of the spiritual experiences are from this place. This is the place where I witnessed my grandma cure with plants and smoke, and she would chant, and she was a curandera. A curandera is basically like a healer, like a shaman lady, So she was the curandera of the town, Like she would be like bouncing back and forth, like traveling, from different town to town. I guess sharing her talent, healing with plant medicines and like rituals and like energy work, sobadas. She would cure like huesos, like when you had like broken bones, like she would literally fix your bones, like attach them back together and stuff. And so I grew up in that environment. I grew up with being around carpenters. My uncle was a carpenter out there. Shout out to my uncle out there, Santiago. If you're out there, shout out to you. Gracias por tus enseñanzas y todas las cosas, buenos consejos que me diste. Shout out to him. So, I grew up in that environment of seeing like many things from a young age. I was a dreamer. I used to have these prophetic dreams since I was a really young child. But anyways, I don't want to veer from the story, right? The story goes that one night, right? This was one night. I was sleeping. It was like 3 a.m. in the morning, and I believe it was 3 a.m. because even now, right? Even now, I'm able to wake up like around that same time. I guess it's always been like that. Like I'm always waking up around 3 or 3:30 or 3:33. 2:30, but it's almost the same time. And so back then I was I believe I was laying down in the bed. Let me show you guys in a minute something real quick, okay? I'm gonna draw you guys like the diagram of the rooms, so you guys can have a mental picture of what happened. Now this is my story. This is my abduction story that I've never talked about, you know, because it's very strange for a lot of people. A lot of people do not understand these subjects, you know. They think it's just a dream or I don't know. All right. That's the east. All right. So, right. So this is the room, right? This is our house. Like, this is part of our house. This is what you guys are seeing right now. This is the room where we slept. You guys are looking to the east. There's a window right here. There's a window right here. There's a window looking to the east. And this is where the bed of my brother, this is where my brother, my sister, and my other brothers were sleeping, right? Now, you guys know that when someone comes into the room, right, and they stand right there, you can kind of sense the energy. You know what I'm talking about? Like when you guys are kind of like sort of sleeping, like you guys are going into like a deep sleep, but you're not, you kind of awake also. You guys can sense when someone comes into the room, and you guys know that like someone's there physically right there in the room. Well, that night, something happened that I felt like some strange presence in the room. I know that there was someone standing there, someone that came into the room, because in order to go into the room, there's a curtain right there. You have to go through the curtain into the room, right? And so that's where I was sleeping right there. And so I felt a presence right here standing. And it wasn't just one presence, it was more than one presence in the room. So next thing you know, I wake up. And when I wake up, like my eyes are open. I'm floating in the air, right? I'm being floated in there. I'm floating in the bed, like on top of the bed. I'm floated, right? And then all of a sudden I begin to like be floated out of the door. We traverse the curtain again, la cortina, right? The curtain. We cross the veil, the curtain, out into the living room. This is the living room right here. This is a door that goes like out into the kitchen right over here. This is the kitchen, and there's like another room over here. And then this is the door to go out into the backyard. Like we had a huge backyard with trees and guavas. We have like guamuchiles. We have timbiriche. We have all sorts of like exotic fruits and stuff. We have bananas too. We have a banana tree, guamuchil. Man, like my childhood was so beautiful. Like it was so magical. So I'm being floated in there. So I know that I know I'm floating. I know I'm there, but I cannot move. I'm levitating in the air, and I'm looking out into the sky, into the ceiling, right? And I know I'm in the living room because I can look into the ceiling, and I know that's the living room. So through my peripheral sight, you know, the size of your eyes, you know, like when you guys have an eye, and you can kind of see from the peripheral sides, like from the peripherals. So I'm looking at the peripherals of my eyes, and I see like there was a see I'm gonna kind of like, all right, so I'm being floated in there, right? I'm like upside down, and then to my side, through my peripheral eyesight, I'm able to witness like two beings on each side. They're really tiny. Now, mind you, I'm 5 years old, right? 5 years old. I'm 5 years old, right? So I know that I'm not as tall as I am right now. When you're 5 years old, I mean, what is the height of a what is it? What would be the height of a 5-year-old, according to you guys? Take a guess. What? 2 feet? A feet and a half, maybe, like 2 feet or whatever. It depends, right? Anyways, I'm floating in the air, right? There's two beings, two each on my side, and all of a sudden, like, we go through the door. Oh, right over here. We go out and through the door, because this door leads to the street. Like right here, this is the main street. So when we go out the door, but guess what? The doors do not open. We literally traverse. We go through the door. Now, the door was a metallic door. It was made of metal. It was a green metallic door with like a screen on the top, right? For the mosquitoes and all that stuff and dust and whatnot. So I remember going through the door and I was like freaking out. Now, mind you, I was freaking out while I couldn't move. So we coming out the door, we go through the door. By the time we're going through the door, I'm freaking out in the mind because at this point I'm paralyzed. I cannot scream, I cannot move, I cannot get out of the like the way I'm like floating, which is upside down, looking at the sky, looking at the heavens. Now I know it was dark, it was very dark, so I would say it was like around 2:30, 3:30, because that's basically like the time I've always been waking up to witness and experience like spiritual matters, and have very spiritual experiences with beings, and other stories that I would like to share before, later on. So I come out, we go out into the door. Wow, out, they keep floating me. We go out into like half a block. When we get to half a block, what I see is like a spaceship that looks like metallic in nature, right? It's metallic in nature right there. And so now you guys have the picture in your mind, right? So what happens is that now, mind you, I'm still floating in the air. My face is facing this spacecraft that is somehow parked outside the house, like a block away or like half a block away from the house, from my grandma's house, which is the place that I show you guys just now. That's the place that I was born in, and that's basically where all this magic took place. All these things that I'm gonna be speaking about later on in the future in a different podcast. This is where everything begins. This is where all my spiritual experience begin. I guess me questioning the narrative, because right there, that church right there. Oh no, my bad. The other church that you guys saw earlier, that's the church where I was being trained to become a priest for the Catholic Church and stuff when I was a child. So I was from a young child initiated into like the Catholic Church to become a priest, but I never wanted to become a priest of the Catholic Church because deep inside of myself I knew like something was wrong, something was up, like this is not right, like this is something's off. I could feel it, I could sense it, and I questioned the narrative since a very young age and stuff, and I had to go with my grandma, because my grandma used to make us go to church, and we would kneel down at the church for like 2 hours praying El Rosario. Oh, right there, that's the church right there. That's where I was being taught from a young age to become a priest. My sister was there as well, myself, my other brother was there, and it's a very beautiful place, very magical place. There's such wonderful stories that I have that eventually I'm gonna share, and those stories are pretty wild and crazy, just like as this story is crazy as well. So I'm being floated out into this. I'm floating next to this spaceship. I'm looking at it with my eyes, and I can still see these beings to my side. They're like right there, right. These beings are right there. They're like, they don't speak to me. They don't say anything. They don't even look at me. They're just walking like robots. They're like, I don't know. I feel like they were being commanded, but they weren't communicating with me. They weren't saying anything. They were just there, like walking me towards the spaceship, and yeah, it's now. You guys have to understand. I want you guys to put yourselves in my shoes. I'm 5 years old, right? I have witnessed other stuff from the age of 2 all the way to the age of 5, which is the story that I'm telling you guys, where I'm standing right there, floating in the air at the age of 5 years old, freaking out inside of myself because I cannot scream. I'm like paralyzed, like from my toes to my head. It's probably like 3 a.m. in the morning. It's dark as hell outside. And I'm witnessing these spacecraft that I've never read about. I've never read about UFOs. At the age of 5, I never knew what UFOs were. All I knew is that I would watch Transformers, or like I would read comics, because I used to read comics. We didn't have TVs back then. Like we didn't have TV, so all I could do is read comics. So comics was my escape to like go into like this other world and understand like like the I guess the narrative of the world, what is happening in the world, how they're trying to perceive, how they're trying to make us perceive reality. And so I would read comics and to try to understand why they were the comics and stuff. But within the comics, you find a lot of themes, a lot of biblical themes, a lot of themes of archaeological records regarding these beings and angels and our UFOs and genetic experimentation and activity by sentient beings or interdimensional planetary beings or spacecraft. It's all there in the record. It's all there in the archaeological record, in the history, in the Bible, in the historical text, in the ancient text, in the spiritual text. It's all there. So I'm right there, 5 years old, right? I'm freaking out on the inside at this point, right? I'm thinking about what I'm thinking about is like, am I gonna die? Like, am I gonna get killed? What is this right here? Like, this is not a car. I know it's not a car because like back in the day, like me and my friends, we used to like go after the cars. We would call it like get agarrar un ray de mosquita, meaning like attached to the cars like a fly, type of deal. Like we would chase the cars and like get a hitch ride by ourselves, pretty much. So I knew what at the age of 5 what a car looked like. But what I was witnessing before my eyes, right in front of this spacecraft, that was like metallic. Now, this metal was kind of like, it didn't look like metal. It was shiny, but it wasn't a shine of metal. It was a shine of like holographic metal. You guys understand when I say holographic metal? Like, you guys know when you buy like a cap, you guys buy a cap for your head, right? When you guys buy a cap, you guys have this little hologram in the front, right? When you move it in the light, it changes colors and it kind of looks three-dimensional. You know what I'm talking about? Well, picture those colors in the spacecraft. So to me, at the age of 5, I thought it was some metal, but it was shiny. It was like glowing and shiny in different colors, like like a holograph. You know what I'm talking about? All right. So now, that's the spacecraft. Now, next thing you know, now there was, I didn't see any openings. I didn't see any signs. I didn't see any names or any like not numerical serial number on the spacecraft. It was just blank, a metallic, glowing, holographic colors, and it was beautiful to look at. But when I was being floated, standing next to it, right, I'm still laying down on my back, upside down. And I'm looking at this spacecraft, and all of a sudden this door opens and like a door comes out, kind of like almost imagine unfolding a taco, right? You unfolding a taco, like, like you unfold it in a very sequential way, like you unroll it. Well, the door opened up, and a door, like some sort of like steps. It wasn't steps. It was kind of like a ramp, like a ramp came rolling down, just like that. Very organic. It didn't make any sound. It didn't make any clutches, no sounds of mechanical, nothing. It was very quiet, like suave, smooth, So this door opens, right? And when it touches the ground, and finally the ramp touches the ground, I began to float again onto the spaceship, up to the ramp, into the spaceship. And so when we get to the door, I noticed that there's like a passageway to the right and a passageway to the left. And in the left, there was a small door, right? Now, the lights that I could see inside, it was kind of like green slash, I would say, orange and blue and yellow. So it was kind of like, it wasn't dark, but that was kind of like the colors that I could see. And the walls were like, I don't know, they didn't seem metallics. They seemed like, they kind of looked like Play-Doh. They look like Play-Doh, but I knew that they were not Play-Doh. They were resistant to something, but they were not. They looked like Play-Doh, but they were not Play-Doh. Anyways, so they walked me into this door. Into the door, there's this green room. There's a green room, and there's like some sort of screens on the wall. And the screens, they're not like your typical like medical screens. They're like inside the walls. Like they're inside. They look like smooth. They're inside, and like there's like I could see frequencies. Now, the reason why I'm able to see is because they lay me down on this bed that was tilted up on the head. You guys know when you guys go to the doctor, right? You guys go to the doctor and they sit you in a bed in the hospital, and those beds are electrical. You know what I'm talking about? You can raise the headpiece, so you can kind of like lean up a little bit, and you can watch TV and so on and so forth. Well, this bed in which I was laying down, it was tilted up on my back, so to the point that I was able to see from my left eye, I could see the screens, and from like right eye, I could also see the door in which I came in. Now, when I came in, I wasn't strapped. I was just there laying down. I couldn't move. I was still paralyzed. And mind you, at this point, I'm still freaking out. I'm still like inside of myself. Like I know I'm screaming. I know my fear is like running from my head to my toes, from my toes to my head. And I'm going from cold to hot because of the fear. And like your body is like your hormones of like what would you call it? The adrenaline is being like rushing through and forward, and it's like freaking out. It's like, what do we do? Because the point of the adrenaline is to create what? Is to create like a sense of you fighting during danger. So I was trying to fight. I was trying to like come out and fight or whatever. I couldn't. I was paralyzed. Now I'm freaking out at this point. All of a sudden I see like through my peripheral eyes, and through the door I see like beings coming in, and there's like a group of them. They're like small, they're like white. Their skin is white with like freckles. They kind of like have freckles inside. Like I don't know if they're freckles, but they're like they had dots, and the dots were like they were not too strong, so you could see that they were dots, but you couldn't see from afar. But when they got close, you could kind of see their skin was shiny, and they had like small brown dots, like I don't know, the size of a fingernail, like that roundish, and some were smaller than that. I don't know. I guess they were just kind of like white, but they weren't white, like bright white. They were like opaque white. So I know that they're there. They're like around me, The four beings that brought me in, they stayed there. And so when the other beings came in, they mingle among themselves. So I couldn't tell which ones they were the ones that brought me in, because there were four. So they were mingled amongst in that little room. Now the room, I guess, I don't know. I was 5 years old, so I would guesstimate that there were at least 10 beings inside a little spacecraft. And all of a sudden, right, I felt a presence coming to my right. On my right eye, I could see someone coming through the door that I came in. I saw a being tall, much taller than the rest. He comes in through the door. Now, mind you, remember the door I told you, it looked like Play-Doh. It looked like plastilina. So that the walls looked like that. They were green. And so I could, when I see this being, I could see the figure of this being that was tall, and he was like strong, and he was more built, and he was much taller than everybody else, at least twice the size of these beings. So he comes in, and as soon as he comes in through the door like, I don't know if it went up or like it was some sort of elastic door that raised up so that this being can come through. So when the being came through, and I could see the light like shining upon his face and his chest and his body, and I could see that he was a reptilian. He looked like a reptilian, like your typical reptilians out there that you guys read about. Now, when the reptilian came in, I was like, whoa, I was like inside of myself. I was like, you know, I was like in shock and awe, because like, tell me which 5-year-old nowadays, I mean, maybe they have, maybe, I don't know, but back in the day, it wasn't normal for a 5-year-old to witness these things, to see these things, and the many other things that I have witnessed since the age of 2 and 3 and 5 and 7 and 8 and all the way until my adulthood years until now. So I'm laying there, I'm seeing this dude, I'm seeing this individual, this being that looks like a crocodile with the skin of a crocodile, but it's really not a crocodile. You can see the scales. I know it's scaly. His face, his eyes were like yellowish, right? They were yellowish. So I know he's looking at me. I know I'm looking at him as well. And when I'm looking at him, he begins to speak to me through the mind. He begins to have a psychic conversation with me, and he begins to say things to reassure me that everything's gonna be okay, that I should not be afraid. He was like, fear not, like nothing's gonna happen to you. Now, the story that I'm telling you all happened in Spanish, so I'm translating all of it in my mind, you know, because I remember all things in Spanish, so I'm translating in my mind the story to the best of my ability. So we're having this conversation with this being through the mind psychically, and he's telling me like, listen, everything's gonna be okay. We're not gonna hurt you. We're not gonna do anything to you. We're just gonna do some checkouts on you and stuff, and or something like that. Some to that regard. Mind you, I'm 5 years old. I'm able to remember this information. How? I do not know. I have many memories of many events that took place since at a young age that I can still remember. But this event of this alien abduction is what really like changed my entire paradigm since I was a young age, since I was a young child. So we're having this conversation with these beings, with this being. Now, the conversation went on because I began to ask the reason why they brought me in, and why me. I'm like, why do you guys chose me? Why do you guys bring me in? Why do you guys take me out of my bed into my living room, out to the door? We went through the door without opening the door, whether or not that was some sort of like molecular something molecular technology where you disintegrate in order to like go through physical stuff, like who knows, you know. But I'm sharing like what happened to me, and so I go out through the door, floating into these streets of where I live, into this I guess spaceship UFO. Back in the day, I didn't know that was a UFO. I didn't know the concept of aliens. I didn't know the concept of reptilians until the age where I was 14, I think. Right, I think that's when I began to like read about aliens and reptilians because of the event that took place when I was 5 years old. That's basically what woke everything up within myself from a young age. Like a lot of the stuff that I've shared with you guys in private, where a lot of you guys, some of you guys have met me in person. I have shared all the stuff with you guys. I have shared supernatural activity that's even takes place even at this moment in my life. So I have witnessed many spiritual experiences, you know. And the reason why I'm sharing that is not to tell you guys like, hey, look at me, I'm more spiritual than you are. I have seen more stuff than you have. No, I'm not saying that. I'm sharing that because I know that there's people out there that can relate with the information that I brought out. I know that there's people out there that they can relate to my crazy stories, to my crazy anecdotes, experiences, life experiences, spiritual experiences, dark experiences, shamanic experiences, miracles, magic, and supernatural activity. Like I've witnessed it all, man, since a young age. And so this event right here of my UFO abduction is what really changed my paradigm all the way until my life right now. Right, that's kind of like that marked some sort of awakening within myself And that's when I understood the subject of UFOs. This is what led me into the Sumerians when I was in high school at the age of 13. This is what led me into going deep into the giants and all that stuff, and all the various different subjects of ancient civilizations and monsters and vampires and all that. All of that is corroborated with historical and archaeological and ancient spiritual texts that goes back to millenniums back ago before this civilization. So my story that I'm sharing, that I share right now, is just one of many of thousands of stories that are similar, the same, or even more crazier than mine. So I'm having this conversation with this being, this sort of reptilian being. We're having this psychic conversation. He's telling me, he's reassuring me, like, calm down, keep calm, like, todo va a estar bien, everything's gonna be okay. Like, he was speaking to me in Spanish, and so I was able to come down. And so when I was able to come down, I think I was able to witness what was going on. I guess I had my shirt on, but my pants were taken off, and they were doing some sort of experiments, like in my privates. Like, they were checking something out. They didn't cut anything. They didn't cut anything. I didn't feel any pain. I wasn't freaking out then because these reptilian came in, and we began to have this conversation, because the conversation that I began to ask him about is what's blanked out. That's what I do not remember, because I remember that I come down. I remember that when he reassured me to come down, that they weren't gonna hurt me, that they weren't gonna do anything to me to hurt me, that they were there to help, that they were just gonna do some sort of check up, and then they were gonna be on their way. So I'm laying down there, I'm watching these beings. Remember, now at this point there's only two beings right there. During the conversation that I'm having with this reptilian being through psychic communication, the other beings began to leave. Like, they just began to leave, and only two were left, and the reptilian guy. The reptilian, I guess he was some sort of like leader. Maybe he was in charge of these beings, the short ones, the little ones that brought me into the spaceship. So we're having this conversation. At this point, I'm very calm, and I begin to ask him, like, why me? Why did you guys choose me? Why was I brought into the spaceship? What are you guys? Where are you guys from? I began to like inquire a lot, bro, because since a young age, I was very curious in the mind. You know, I've always been curious in the mind in many subjects. As a matter of fact, I remember when I was a child, I used to break my cars and like inspect how the cars work, how the machinery work, how the motor or the engine, little engines work, and I would just inspect. You know, I wanted to see. So I began to ask him like many questions. Now, this is the part that is strange, because I remember all the details from when I was sleeping all the way when I was being abducted. I was floating in the levitating in my living room, out into the streets, out into the spaceship, on the bed, and having seen these beings, witnessing what they were doing, listening a psychic conversation with the reptilian, telling me that everything was going to be okay, that all that they were there to do, it was just to do a checkup. And so I come down, and so I begin to ask him all these questions, and that conversation has been blotted out, deleted, and I do not know what was said and what was shared. And a lot of people have suggested that I should do some sort of reverse hypnosis. Reverse hypnosis is basically when you go into you retrieve. They're able to retrieve any repressed memories that are hidden within the subconscious self of the human psychic or the human mind, right? Because there's a lot of stuff within the subconscious of the human mind. Every one of you that is watching, that is going to watch later, you guys have a subconscious. And sadly, if you haven't learned that there's two aspects of your reality, which is the subconscious and the conscious, then a lot of people, for the most part, in our lives or in their lives, because I understood this now, I have come across this information. It's very powerful to understand that the human experience sometimes is ran through the subconscious self. The subconscious self is what runs the conscious self. It's a program that was embedded in your childhood since a young age, right? Because from the age 1 to 7, the human brain operates at the theta state, which is the frequency in which you're able to absorb information. So from a young age to the age of from the age to the age of 7, you absorb all this information, and so your perception is created back then. That's basically the foundation of every human being on this planet. What is it? 90, I guess they say 90+% of the human experience is being ran through the program of the subconscious, right? So I was saying that is because there's certain things in the subconscious that might be hidden therein that I would like to find out, because I know that when I was abducted, I was having a deep conversation with these beings about many things, and that information is what's hidden away, right? And so I think ever since then, that's basically what led me to research and research and research and research and research of many subjects of many things, whether it be geopolitical, sciencey, and musically and whatnot. All of it, like, it's what led me to that, because perhaps that's and I guess that's what the information that's coming out right now, where you have the mystical knowledge that's coming out right now and being shared with the world, that we are more than flesh bags, that you guys are more than what is it, literally, bro, you guys are more than these flesh bags, more than your bodies. You guys are more than these bodies. Okay, this is the human experience is very short. Okay, that's how long can we live? 70 years, 80, 120 at the most, according to the ancient text, or according to the genetic manipulation that was created in our chromosomes, when they put caps in our chromosomes called the telomeres, and they reprogram our age span for 120 years only, right? Now, mind you, there's special cases out there where people live 200 years, 150 years, 205. I think the longest, the most longevity that someone's ever lived is in China, I believe. That's the record, I believe. So you guys can go research. But the whole point is that we are more than flashbacks. Okay, there's more to life than just going to work and coming back and paying the bills, and I mean, that's beautiful. That's you have to work. We all have to work. I work too. We all pay bills and stuff. But there are systems at plays that were created in order to well, you guys. I'm not gonna mention names and stuff. But yeah, we are living very interesting times right now, and we are witnessing again the return of these beings, whether or not they are cloning some sort of another civilization. A lot of specialists that are study the UFO activity, a lot of specialists within the science, physicists and other scientists that are branching out to study the subject of UFOs, are coming out with some sort of conclusions that what they're been doing is some sort of genetic program throughout the ages. Whether they're trying to, see life in other places and whatnot, I don't know. Whether space is real, well, I haven't been there, right? All I can say is that I've been on a spaceship. I've been in a side of a UFO. I've spoken with like reptilians through psychic ability. I've seen what you guys call the grays, or these little beings with that have slanted eyes that look, I guess, I don't know, they look like humanoids and stuff, the little tiny humanoids. But I believe that those little grays, they're not the real aliens. They're just I think they're biological machines that are linked to some sort of beehive mind or beehive artificial intelligence within the UFO spaceships or motherships and whatnot. And so when they come down here, they just come to do some reconnaissance or some recon missions and whatnot. And so when they come and visit, they get shut down by the governments because the governments do not understand that these beings are not planetary. They're not from the place of existence. Now, there's some speculation out there that the UFOs are basically from underground civilizations, and with that, I'm gonna leave it at that because that subject should be for a different day, day. But my hi, this is my cat. I just want to thank everybody that came out and watched. Thank you for watching. Thank you for tuning in. This is my story. This is a fraction of my story and a fraction of my life, sharing with you guys in public for the first time. Once again, this is my own experience, my life experience. You guys can talk crazy about me or can say all sorts of things, but at the end of the day, this is my personal experience. This is my life experience. This is my spiritual experience, my anecdotes, mis anécdotas, my experiences, my spiritual experiences, my spiritual evolution. And I'm sharing that with you guys so you guys can understand where I'm coming from on the things that I'm going to be speaking about in the future. Because once again, since I began this journey from a young age, I grew up Catholic. And this is where I grew up once again, and this is where the story of my life begins. And many of the stories that I will be sharing are rooted in this place. This is where all the magic begins. This is where my journey as a spiritual being on this planet, discovering the lies and the deception that has embedded the subconscious self at a collective level all throughout the world because of the organized religion. And that's what I've seen, from becoming a priest at a young age over there in Teloloapan, Guerrero, where I was from, where I grew up, or whether or not it's, the stories that I have when I've done psychedelics and ayahuascas, and I've met beautiful brother shaman that is he taught me a lot, and I learned a lot from him, and as an example of life and living. And I'm trying my best out there to live to the best of my ability and to live to the fullest, and to live without the perceptions that were created within ourselves since a young age. Our perception is being shaped as we speak through the media, through what we eat, through what we listen to, the music that we listen to, the religions that a lot of people are part of today, whether you Catholic, Christian, the One West Hamitic doctrines out there that are teaching a bunch of lies, which, by the way, I was part of that cult for 8 years. And a lot of these brothers threatened my life because I disagree with their doctrines. I exposed their doctrines when I was inside of their synagogues, inside of their temples, inside of their places of where they supposedly preach truth when they do not preach truth. They preach lies and deception to enslave the minds of Hispanics, natives, and a lot of African Americans that are out there claiming to be a tribe that they're not. So, and I've challenged a lot of these brothers out there to come and talk to me, and we can have a beautiful dialogue, a very scholastic dialogue with these brothers about their Bibles, about their doctrines, about why they teach what they teach and preach what they preach. So I'm here sharing my story, and my story it has many of these levels, many of these experiences that I have gone through, and I have shared part of my journey with you guys. If you guys notice, my YouTube channel, when it was created, that was when I was going to war against these One West Hamitic synagogues, cults that I was part of. And I left it, and I grew up out of that. I evolved spiritually, mentally, emotionally, and my eyes were opened up, and I seen stuff, and I seen what's going on. And part of it I've shared before, and part of it I couldn't share because we were fighting against the camps, and then you guys know what happened after that. Everybody left, the Ancient Watchmen, and now they're, I don't know where they are. Everybody's scattered. And I stuck with my mission. I stuck with the mission that I was supposed to do when I was part of the camps, these One West camps. I learned their doctrines, and I learned that they're teaching lies. I learned that they're teaching man-made doctrines and man-made ideologies that go back to two men called I forgot. There's these two Ethiopians that began these camps out there. So, I brought this information out in various videos before. So you guys go and scroll down. Thank you for watching, everybody. Once again, this is your brother Shamar with the Ancient Watchmen. Check us out on Guardians of Truth on Facebook. Check us out on Instagram as the Ancient Watchmen TV, I guess. And that's pretty much it for our socials. Other than that, thanks for watching. You guys have a wonderful night. Peace out. All right, everybody. We'll see you on the next one, and stay tuned. I think what I'm gonna be sharing next is we're gonna talk about my fourth mushroom experience, maybe, or yeah, I think I'm gonna share my fourth mushroom experience with you guys. I'm gonna share the teachings that I learned 3 years ago when I ate mushrooms for the first time when the pandemic took the world by surprise. I went into the wilderness, and for 3 months by myself, and I bought some land over there in Arizona, and I was there when the pandemic was taking the world by surprise, and I hid in the midst of nature and the ancient spirits, the great spirit that it's all over the place. Everywhere we see, there's God. The breathe that you, the air that you breathe, that's God right there. So yeah. So stay tuned. I'm gonna share that with you guys. We're gonna go deep into that subject, and then later on, we're gonna continue to dive, and you guys are gonna listen to certain crazy podcasts regarding many things. So stay tuned. We'll see you around next time. For those who watch and stay until the end, shout out to you guys. You guys did great. Thank you for watching, everybody. Have a great night. Peace out.